This episode of Total Drama Reviews contains clips from Total Drama World Tour. I do not own Total Drama World Tour. All rights go to FreshTV. Remember to be civil and do not be me in the comments. Seriously, it can get really messed up. We're back, everyone. Yes, I am now officially settled into my new place outside the United States. And screw the secrecy, I'll just tell you what country I now live in. I'm sure you all can guess it by now. Baravia.
Your Superman has abandoned you. The people of Baravia will not ignore him inserting himself into our affairs.
Superman did say he thought the hammer might be faking a Baravian accent.
What you're looking at, my friends, is the most powerful being on planet Earth. Ultraman.
I mean, it was all over the news. No point in playing coy now. Okay, that wasn't me because... Carpe diem, my name is Ultranatic, a lover of animation, reality shows, and music. A hodgepodge of interests so random that only one show has ever been able to combine them all successfully.
Now is the time, now is the best time, now is the best time of your life.
Not my cup of tea. No, I'm referring to the third season of Total Drama World Tour. An international journey through every continent except Antarctica. Officially, they visit places that at least competed with its frigidness, while mixing in a bunch of improvised song numbers for an extra layer of camp. This concept was one that seemed doomed to fail, and yet I kinda grew to love it after a while. Oh, it was still stupid, but when did this show claim to not be that? If you just embrace the absurdity of this premise, you'll get all the good stuff every season, sans the unmentionables, would deliver too. Which reminds me, how does this season measure up to the two that came before it? Well, Total Drama Island, which was Survivor based at a summer camp, was a milestone proof of concept, but could have benefited from faster, more consistent comedy. Total Drama Action delivered said comedy, as well as adding more variety to the episode themes, incorporating movie genres, but in hindsight, it's lacking in purpose regarding series-wide continuity. Oh, not that it's pointless, a few things get revisited down the road, but you can disregard the season if you want to. I don't, because pivotal to the story or not, the season's true purpose, like all of them, is to entertain, and I do believe it succeeds in that area. But if you want a season which succeeds in entertaining and feels like a necessity in watching this series, look to World Tour. A lot gets built upon in future seasons, or at least attempted to, and just as its own story, it feels like the culmination of promising narratives. Some with prior build-up, like James Franco's Harry Osborn, and then some more organically to the season, and many with satisfying payoffs. All of them? No, but that's what this video is for. To sort out the episodes not even worthy of a comic class on any flight, to the ones that earn a stay in Chris McLean's quarters, preferably when he's not in them too. So count up your frequent flyer miles as we look at what I consider the top 5 worst and best episodes of Total Drama World Tour. Per usual, my thoughts on these episodes will be more succinct than the 4 reviews I did before, so if you want more elaboration, I recommend checking those out first, as this video will definitely spoil my overall thoughts. Though maybe not perfectly, since some of my opinions have changed over time. I mean, this season took me 4 years to get through. It's only natural I'd have a new outlook in certain areas. Also, this is all just opinions, so if you disagree with my takes, that's fine. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, provided that, per my disclaimer, you're civil and not mean, whether to me or other commenters. And with that out of the way, let's start this off with the top 5 worst episodes, first with a dishonorable mention. picnic at Hanging Dork. This spot was tricky since outside of the 5 worst, every other episode for me was at least a 5 out of 10, so I was picking from plots that were more mixed bags than actively terrible. And it was kind of between this and I See London since they each had similar problems. A below average song, a horrible excuse for an elimination, and some pitiful cringe to cap it off.
I say, I'm the queen. Oh, heavens. I think I ate too many royal beans at the royal luncheon.
Cody, you okay in there? Did you fall in?
That only happened once! Ugh.
That was uncomfortable.
To the credit, each was plenty funny in places too, hence why they aren't among said 5 worst. But if I had to pick which episode frustrated me more, it's this one. Why? Specifically because in this Australian set episode, Courtney isn't sent home. Which of course I dislike. Her attitude went south since the Glunkin kiss and she was actively throwing challenges, something I'm vocally opposed to. But it's not just subjective reasons for me hating it, there's some objectivity also. Cause from my viewing experience, the episode was largely pointing to a Courtney exit on every front. Wronged by Glunkin or not, the episodes show her having questionable ethics, setting up her own downfall with these purposeful losses, and even people in-game, both from her team and the opposing team, were trying to get her out.
The Amazons are only powerful because they have both Courtney and Heather. We need to break them apart. If I flirt with Courtney, it will distract both of them from the game at hand, and one will surely vote the other out.
Cody and I were talking about voting out Courtney next, and I'm in. Good talk.
So for her survive anyway, all due to Gwen having an undisclosed allergy, which Courtney should have had too based on a Google search, is extremely annoying. Does that make it unwatchable? Nah, it has some good jokes and decent strategy that I consider above board, but as far as reality shows set in Australia go, this is one that deserved both a kangaroo punch and a medical evacuation.
Here comes the pain! You don't know the half of it.
Number 5. The Amazon race. I'm impressed this one wound up low on the worst list here since it had, what, 3 CLRs, aka criticism lightning rounds in my review of it. Well, I have it only at number 5 since I really only hated it for a third of the plot, whereas the other 2/3 were pretty strong. I like Team Victory actually winning at something for once. The positive energy from Lindsay was a nice change of pace from LaShawna's dismissive negativity, and even Team Chris gave her patented great humor and deceptive treachery from Alejandro. But I'm still not fond of the episode since those plots are hardly the focus, with that distinction going to Team Amazon. Hell, it's in the title, even if merely by coincidence. But it harkens back to an old complaint I've had, Gwen getting a lot of unmerited grief just cuz. Like, okay, technically she jinxed her team at the start, but as I mentioned, Lindsay kept doing that and things worked out for her and DJ, so at least the audience knows this ain't really Gwen's fault. It's just an excuse for Heather and the rest of the team to turn on her. Which normally I'd accept, that's just how Heather is, but they all forgo any sense of logic just so Gwen can be a butt monkey, and I'd expect these people to at least try and use their brains. Heck, it's one of the few times we get a ton of conflict on this team, and Courtney's the only one talking sense, and she barely says a word here. And when grouped with Sierra and Cody being their own flavors of creepy and a really crummy excuse for a song to boot, it results in an episode that the entire population of Themyscira would exile on principle alone.
Gosh, I hope none of the Amazons said this might be lucky for them. That'd be disastrous.
Number 4. Can't help falling in love. This might be shocking since my review of this episode wasn't that negative, but I've done a 180 on opinions before, and this one deserves a 2 because I can't condone most of what we see here. Again, it's not the entire plot I hate, but rather 2/3, an increase from last time. Team Chris has some brilliant moments, I'll give them their flowers for that, but the bigger problems with the episode are 1, DJ surviving despite him clearly begging to be let out of his misery, which results in not the worst elimination for Lindsay, but still one that most weren't fond of. And I can't act like I'm on board with it either, since it feels like it was set up merely for laughs and it wasn't even that funny, so it's not really justified. But more to the point, the second problem is Team Amazon, or more specifically, Codera. Following the Amazon, where Cody voted her off,
I vote for Sierra. She's like the stalker girlfriend I always thought I wanted, until I got one.
Sierra gaslights Cody into giving her attention while they're in Paris and making him feel in the wrong for voting her off, despite him just wanting Sierra to stop her disgusting serial killer-esque advances towards him.
I was never really mad at Cody, but I kind of liked him paying attention, and one thing led to another. Boy, playing hard to get really works.
No! No! And even if I don't think she's fully aware how terrible her actions are, that doesn't make things okay because, as Ron White put it,
ignorance of the law is no excuse, and I'm quoting a New York City judge on this one.
And the episode's song, while decently constructed, only reinforces Sierra thinking she did nothing wrong, which sets a bad precedent. If Team Chris and the remainder of Team Amazon weren't as solid as they were, I'd be tempted to put this at number 1, since this narrative is negative exceptional tier territory. And while those aspects spare from being any higher, with it already being as bad as it is, it makes the episode a massive load of wee-wee, and I don't mean the French word for yes.
It's no fun because you're only doing it because you have to.
Well,
Number 3. Jamaica Me Sweat. An episode that lost me from the very beginning on title alone. Seriously, that pun is never funny no matter who says it.
Whoopi Goldberg and the reggae rodents. Man.
Excuse me, what kind of an accent was that supposed to be?
Jamaican.
Yeah, Jamaican a fool of yourself.
Yo, Riz, come here.
As for why the episode sucks, you know how in the first 2 Superman films, they have these terrible endings that revert everything to the status quo rather than explore new possibilities? That's this episode without it being any good in the first place. It's the build-up of DJ finally going home right as he accepts he's in this game still, even adapting to his struggles and having people who may have his back. But Chris says, nah, we're not changing things cause I just don't feel like it. A self-centered, uncaring attitude from Chris prevalent throughout the runtime. And this motivates Alejandro to let down DJ in the most contrived, heartbreaking way possible, very reminiscent of Search and Do Not Destroy, and even completely cheat in the challenge to send DJ home with no interference from Chris because apparently even he wanted DJ gone. And look, I advocate for DJ leaving if he wants that, but this plot could never get straight when he wanted to leave and when he wanted to stay, and the show allowing for either respective option. Add on top of that an Izzy exit, which also wastes potential for a brief 2-episode gag of being an ultra genius and a very so-so song, though definitely the least objectionable from these 5 or so episodes, and I call this Jamaican excursion nearly unsalvageable. Only nearly, since I guess part 1 of the challenge is dynamic and funny, but not really enough to save this mess. Jamaica as a country has seen some tragically bad days, but on a smaller scale, this episode does no service to that nation either, even though it badly needed it.
I've devised a mathematical formula for infinite time travel.
Oh, this is so worse than I thought.
Number 2. Niagara Brawls. Alongside the dishonorable mentions I touched upon at the start, the third aftermath of this season was in contention just for giving Mildred a chance in the game to compete. But that episode was insignificant anyway and had quite a bit of charm and likability when not focused on Mildred's crimes, so I laid off it for this list. I will not be doing the same for her first outing actually competing in Niagara Falls, where despite Chris calling her a ratings jewel, she adds nothing that could equate to good quality reality TV, I guess, except her spat with Sierra, but that amounted to nothing. And her entitled ego just made everything about her appearance here excruciating. From her dialogue to her attitude to especially her song number. God, I hated that. But hating Mildred alone isn't enough to say the story sucks, hence why a third aftermath was spared. No, it's here because this also got Sal with Sierra trying to force herself on the Cody and even trying to sneak him into marriage with her. Which, genuine or not, is some of the most malicious intent I've ever seen on this show. The only part about it that's redeemable is it initially failing, not like that lasted, and I guess parts of the climax were funny with Dunkney stumbling into a win. But then for their immunity to culminate in Owen exit when nothing really should have sparked him going home here just makes so much of this questionable. It left us with pretty much just villainous people for the rest of the season, which I guess for Alla Heather and maybe Duncan I like, but for everyone else, I couldn't believe this is what we were getting when Owen didn't waver in likability at all this go around. It's an episode that left a bad taste in my mouth, and since Niagara Falls is largely freshwater, we know it didn't come from that.
Niagara Falls is pretty awesome, eh?
It almost killed
And the number one worst episode of Total Drama World Tour is Chinese Fake Out. Don't act surprised, I think I made this one clear from the start. An episode with literally nothing redeemable about it unless I cherry pick with tweezers. Barring the DJ subplot and Gwen being a punching bag, it has everything from this season I hated all in one 22-minute block. Chris not giving a hoot about running his own show? Check. Poorly paced runtime where nothing matters cause the rules don't matter? Check. And otherwise forced elimination? I don't care that it's Courtney and Mildred, the show just shrugs at them both going home. Check. Ear bleeding song that felt like it went on for longer than forever, if that's even possible. Check. Sierra Shackles choking Cody into complacency with their marriage as enabled by Alejandro. Check. Blatant cheating from multiple parties. Check. Chef and another contestant conspiring together like his previous failed attempt in Total Drama Action? Check. And speaking of, to round it all off, Mildred just being Mildred? Checkaroony.
I would like to send a shout out to my personal trainer, Bunny, for making me do all those sprints. You rule! Sorry for calling you a waste of skin.
What an ugly thing to say.
I was genuinely disgusted by what got dished out to us, fitting since it was a gross eating challenge, and for some reason those episodes go hand in hand with the worst stories, and I didn't want any part of it. One or two jokes at best came out of this, and they could have been used anywhere and still worked in other narratives, so even that isn't worth praising. It's one of the worst episodes in the show's history, and I think Chinese water torture looks more desirable by comparison. Chinese Fake Out, the number one worst episode of Total Drama World Tour. And yeah, it's pretty lousy to get episodes that abysmal in this show, but to quote Courtney in London,
every cloud has a silver lining.
And for us, that silver lining is the best of the list, which was quite hard to narrow down, but I think I've got my picks, so let's go over what I consider the top 5 best episodes of Total Drama World Tour. First, with an honorable mention. Drumheller. I gave a lot of praise in my review of this episode, and I stand by it, so the fact this didn't make the top 5 is a testament to how good this season was when it was good. A story that takes the sins of the past and reworks them into a positive viewing experience. Alejandra puts a target on Heather's back by framing her for sleeping with Cody.
Don't read into it.
And shows Sierra a falsified picture of them, which she falls for, halting communication in the process. This plot sucked with Gwen since they should have been smart and trusting enough to talk it out, but Sierra had been scatterbrained all season, so it makes sense that she wouldn't see through this. But it's all the better when Cody gets wise and bands everyone together to foil Alejandro's plans and vote him out. Only for Sierra to beat her own downfall and finally make herself a concern to the plot no longer. Add some delightful spatting without a Heather and even some sweet moments between Codera, and it all amounts to something good. So why is it not in the top 5 then? Well, it could stand to be a bit funnier. I think the song's kind of overrated, though better than I claimed before, and a couple plot points are more shoehorned in than they needed to be. Despite that, it's an episode I'm very happy to have struck Pater, and is very worthy of a birthday celebration.
I hope you like surprises.
From you?
Oh, you'll like this one.
Number 5. Reese's Pieces. Love triangles may not be everyone's cup of tea, especially with this show, and while I have my gripes with it this season too, this episode presented the best of the drama that could have come from this storyline. It had great location, epic challenges, a good song, and a hilarious cop-out exit. But the main event was the secret of Grunkin's kiss being outed, and that build-up could not have been executed better in my opinion. It's sprinkled with nice chemistry, genuine suspicion, and even a fun mystery for Alejandro trying to suss out what any of this is. I got a major kick out of this, with my only real issue, and this is a nitpick, being this one delivery from Courtney.
You are so eliminated!
I still hate how she says that, and it does sort of dampen the climax, even if only slightly. Outside of that, I loved watching this. If this episode were sacrificed to the Greek gods, I'm sure they'd feel honored at the offering they were given, and rewarded with the greatest of blessings.
If it happens again, I'll tell her. Oh, is it wrong that I really, really want it to happen again?
Number 4. Walk Like an Egyptian, parts 1 and 2. Maybe cheating since I'm going over both episodes, but I don't think you can talk about this insanely entertaining premiere without accounting for each of them. For me, what makes it most impressive is that it had a hard sell from the start, incorporating songs in the season in a stupendously haphazard way while not losing sight of what kind of show it is, and I think it pulled it off. Oh, it has a terrible first song, I don't back down from that, but the 2 songs in part 2 pleasantly even it out. And the trip to Egypt turns into a hilarious throw ride from start to finish, with some twists including a third team, a team swap for Izzy and Sierra, and Duncan's abrupt quit, as well as the stuff you expect to love from Total Drama, like mishaps in the pyramids, Ezekiel's completely inevitable second round as a first boot, and girl drama from Team Amazon, which outside of the literal Amazon and the love triangle was always fun to watch. Aside from Come Fly With Us, my only other issues were the start of DJ's Animal Curse and a couple disgusting scenes that don't contribute to the comedy, but this episode was so funny anyway that I have no trouble ignoring that. This premiere gave us a premise that I didn't believe could be pulled off, but as the Prince of Egypt taught us, there can be miracles if you do believe.
This year's winner is in the house! Runway!
Number 3. Hawaiian Punch. Wow, going from the front cover of this season to the back, it's the finale a show this invigorating deserves. Where the focal point of this season, Heather versus Alejandro, oh, and Cody's there too, finally have their spotlight with no one else to share it with. And in an arena befitting their god-tier rivalry all season, an active volcano that could erupt at any moment, and indeed does. And Pineapple Sacrifice or not, I react like this too if I was given confessions of love, revelations about a toxically petty home life, and even one of the few episodes where Sierra is tolerable at all. My gripes are minimal, with some cliches that do feel a touch out of character, and some peanut gallery members being unreasonable, even by the standards of bare juries. But that's all moot when you have one of these two titans take home the gold. Well, both technically, we see each of their endings, and I may have a preference, but I have a ball with either outcome. Top that off with a massively scaled villain song, and we get a finale that I have no questions on how I'm going to be an optimist about it.
Heather was pretty good to me overall. Hey, I bet I'm the first person to ever say that.
Number 2. Planes, Trains, and Hot Air Mobiles. Skipping one chapter before the end, we had the penultimate episode of the season that he prays on. And straight up, while I eventually settled on my number 1 for this list, it was a debate which episode I liked better between this and Hawaiian Punch. And what was the deciding factor? The song. Just so freaking obviously the song. I like verses plenty, but it was never much of a contest. I adore I'm Gonna Make It so much. But it goes beyond that. This episode had no true locale to rely on, and only the mainest of main characters, with Sierra having been a piece of work all season, so for all of them to be at their peak for character dynamics this go around was so refreshing. And it results in a journey from Drumheller to Hawaii with max-setting comedic farce energy. Boat collisions, balloons frying on power lines, feral former contestants, a literal 2-horse race. This is like Bullet Train on cocaine. And aside from the cruddy excuse for a filler ending and Cody's fake out quit by the end, which may as well have been official, we could all guess what the true outcome would be, I have very little to complain about. It may have been the metaphorical almost caboose of the season, but it garners the reception of a locomotive with full steam ahead quality.
Welcome to this non-stop trip to Mexico.
Yes! In your face!
And the number 1 best episode of Total Drama World Tour is Noof Kids on the Block.
It's a rock! A rock! A rock!
Oh right, yeah, I did keep getting this episode's name wrong during my review of it, so massive correction on my part. Noof Kids on the Rock. Rock, 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 rock.
That's not you. You don't make mistakes like that.
Ugh, it deserved better for me because I do think it gave us the best content out of all the entries I listed. How so compared to the other offerings in this top 5? Well, what tipped the scale for me was how it had the hardest sell out of every episode, even more than the quasi-musical concept. It was DJ being his own team of Oolong and feeling so hopeless that he wanted out, but the collective protagonists out of Heather use their own nefarious methods to keep him in, so he continuously stumbles into success. Which is both funny since he doesn't want that, but heartwarming because it's one of the nicest moments Heather ever managed in this franchise. Oh, she's still doing it for selfish reasons, but selfishly helping someone through their trauma is such a paradox that I can't help but be amused at the idea. And hey, if there's any contestant in this franchise I could believe her doing this for, it's definitely DJ. She never had any problems with him. No one did. He is such a nice character deep down that who would wish this terrible plotline on him? Oh right, the writers, they gave him all this misery. Well, this episode was his Prisoner of Azkaban, the one time where he has ever truly given a break, discounting the Amazon, and it was a load off. And the other teams are all their enjoyably charming selves too. Heck, even Sierra isn't that not bad, all things considered. Even more on the nitpicky side for any issues I might have would be the crummy accents from Chris and his cousin, and the location looking corpse bride levels of dreary. Again, Canada, you look so much better as a landscape than this animation is implying, but that boils down more to me respecting the writing of the story more than the visuals, which is true enough, I guess. Oh, it's not terrible animation, just not all that fun to look at. But it's fun to listen to as they top it off with another amazingly catchy song that no one, not even DJ, could resist, capping this off as my absolute favorite viewing experience in this animated odyssey. Noof Kids on the Rock, the #1 best episode of Toll Drama World Tour.
Well played, ambitious one.
We beat you?
And that was my top 5 worst and best episodes of Toll Drama World Tour. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. And while it's gonna feel sad to leave this musical extravaganza behind, I feel it deserves one final loving send-off, so join me tomorrow for my ranking of every song from Total Drama World Tour from worst to best, a video that no one has ever done before. Well, I'm a battle-tested music critic, so,
All you need is a song.